Hey everybody, this is Noah with Learn Meta-Analysis, and Gemma 3 has just launched, so I want to do some really quick benchmarks and do a little bit of testing and see, is this any good for our academic use cases? So, in all clarity, I have never used a Gemma model before. I haven't used the first version, the second version. For some reason, I just never tried them. So this is going to be my first time using it, and this is literally my very first time using it, as you'll see. I'm going to show you guys another way to install models. So in previous videos, I showed you how to copy this code here. I'm going to actually still copy this code here, but I'm going to copy this code here. We're going to get the 4 billion parameter model because that's the one it's suggesting that we should use, and it's small enough to run fast on many machines. So we're just going to grab that, and then we're going to jump over to Open WebUI. So check this out. If you go into your admin panel, then you go into settings, and you go into models. Here, you can see that I have turned on and off a number of models. Like there was a lot that came through with Google, and I don't use them all, so I turned off a bunch of them so that they don't appear. But you can also go through, and it's not actually on this page. Sorry, I came to this page because I wanted to show you that you could turn on and off models. Now, let me show you how to install models straight from here. So if we go to our connections panel, and down here we go to the Ollama API, and we can see that it has our Ollama API connections. We click on this little manage button, and from here we can actually deal with our Ollama information directly from within Open WebUI. So if I put in the model tag, just copy paste this, and then I'm going to get rid of that stuff there and just do Gemma 3, and I click this download. It should, in theory, there we go. Now it's pulling it for us, and it is going to download it and show it the process as it goes. So this is, I think this was like a 4 gigabyte. It's a 4 billion parameter model, so I'm guessing it's probably about 4 gigs worth of data. I probably should have looked at that. I wonder if I still have it open. I do not, so I can't check it, but that's okay. It's almost done. We're at 33%. So main thing that I wanted to show you here was that you don't have to actually use command line to get models from Ollama. To be honest with you, I still prefer using command line because then I can just copy paste real quick. I find it to be faster, but I saw someone else do this method, and I thought it was kind of cool, and it was really nice. Where I think it might be particularly helpful is if you want to delete a model, you can view all your models here in the dropdown. I'm not going to click that right now because I don't want to mess up this download process, but as we can see, it is just about done, getting to the 90% mark here, and then we're going to give this a go and see what we can find out. All right, wonderful, 100%. Yay, we win. Okay, it's finishing now. You can see these little lines here just kind of saying different things. It's verifying whatever that is, so we'll just give it a second. Boom, done. So the other thing I want to show you is, like, let's say you have a model you don't want anymore. You can just click on this delete model and pick it and then hit the delete button. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to delete it. I'm going to go here and let's find it in our list. Oh, it's right there at the top. Sweet. All right. So I have a list of questions that I created here so I can just copy paste them in. First one is like my standard question for just general knowledge. I always want to know if they can answer this correctly. What is the largest falcon in the world? Let's see. So can it answer this question? Oof, it's kind of a rough start. It says largest falcon in the world is the golden eagle. The golden eagle is not a falcon, it's an eagle. That's why it's called the golden eagle. So not super thrilled with it so far, but let's move to a new one. So let's go to a new chat, again with Gemma 3, and for this, I have a little bit more academic question. I don't know if it's going to actually be able to answer this, so let's see. Particularly in educational settings, blah, 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 focus on their active role. So I asked specifically about multimedia learning. So far, I'm not seeing anything in here about multimedia learning specifically. Okay, here's where we move it to multimedia learning. Let's see. Views multimedia not just as content, but as platforms for the learners. I don't see it talked about that way, typically speaking. Scaffolding. Okay, I'm skimming. Yeah, I'm not saying this isn't right, but in the context of multimedia learning literature and educational psychology, this is not the explanation that I am used to seeing. So far, I'm sad to say I'm not really thrilled with it for academic use cases, but let's keep going. Next question here, we're going to ask it, I want to run a meta-analysis in R using the metaphor package. Can you give me the code to do a random effects meta-analysis using REML? So let's see what it wants us to do. So it's generating the code. This should be, well, I don't want to say this should be easy. I don't know how easy or hard this task actually is for a language model, but let's check it out and see. So they do have you load metaphor, which is great. Tidyverse, I think, is probably for this example data, so I'm going to skip over that for the moment. Now let's see the actual metaphor data. So it has RMA, which is going to be a random effects meta-analysis. It says effect, which I am assuming is, I don't think this is correct. I'd have to double check the actual documentation for metaphor, but off the top of my head, I think this one that says effect should actually be YI and not the word effect. We'd have to double check that, but otherwise the structure is okay. Yeah, otherwise the structure looks okay, but I don't think this is a correct function call. So print the results. Yeah, you can do that. In the summary, I'm not even going to bother going through all this I-squared fixed effect stuff because that's not what we asked for it to do. So I'm glad it brought it up because it might be important, but I'm not going to go over it right now. So I'm going to say it was all right. I mean, it was in the ballpark. So now let's ask another question about meta-analysis generally, okay? We're going to say, what is residual heterogeneity in meta-analysis? Unexplained variation in effect sizes after accounting for known sources. Okay, great. So that's good. I'm not going to read through the rest of this right now because I was actually pretty happy with this initial explanation, so I don't want to keep reading the rest of this for the sake of time. Okay, so now let's get to, well, let's first debrief. We asked a couple general general questions that, like, if we search Perplexity or something that is going to go out and search web sources, it probably would have given us the right answer. These were like, some were just wrong, some were hit or miss. I don't know. My thought right now, not super impressed. For my use cases, I should say. Not super impressed for how I would use this. Now let's get into actually using this as like a research assistant. So as you guys know, I've been setting up these RAG systems where we are uploading a bunch of our files and then asking questions about our files. So let's see how this does with that. So I have another prompt here and I just need to finish it out. Okay, notebook LM test. So in all openness, I need to tell you guys, I can't directly benchmark this against my other notebook LM tests. The reason I can't do that is because at some point I accidentally broke something with my connection to Ollama, and when I fixed it, when I rebuilt it, I didn't end up using Ollama directly as my embedding model anymore. Instead, I'm using the same Snowflake Arctic embed, but I'm doing it through sentence transformers rather than doing it through Ollama, and it's also the large version of Snowflake Arctic embed 2. So for that reason, it is a little bit different, and I don't want to run a direct comparison because I don't think it's fair to the prior testing. So I'll be creating a new testing sheet eventually. So let's see, what gaps are there in research that are worth pursuing? So basically we're saying we have these files in here, what's worth pursuing? So let's see what it says. Key themes and existing research highlights. That's not what I asked for. Gaps and areas, okay. Nuance of dual processing and agent design. Let's see. Doesn't really specify how agents. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay, so this is interesting. An interesting observation. Dynamic adaptation. Yeah, so this is partially limited on the files that I uploaded, and I have like 30 files in there, but I don't know all of them off the top of my head. So I'm kind of going off generally what I know about the field. I would say that this is actually a really interesting question of measuring deep processing. And so it's saying the research noted here relies on self-reports. I'm assuming that's true, but I honestly don't know because most of the things in my field tend to be more about actually measuring like an application task. So while I am really curious about this idea of measuring deep processing, I don't know that I would interpret that in the same way as what they're saying, but without having reviewed those 30 articles that are in my database specifically here, I can't say whether that's good or bad. Ooh, this is really cool. I really like this identification of a gap beyond competency, looking at things like personality and trust. This is something that I've done some work in. I really like this. I think this is a great gap to identify. Let's see, this one, not so ideal. every paper I uploaded was actually about embodied agents, so that one isn't great. So let's keep going here. Domain specificity, yeah, learner characteristics, social context. Okay, these are all fine. Methodological considerations. This is a huge one. We really do need longitudinal studies in the field. So, okay, let's see. Foundational standing, but there's more nuanced content specific. Yeah, I would generally agree with this statement based on kind of the whole field as a whole. So how did it work for this? Better than I expected. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with better than I expected after our initial test. So let's run another one with this same database worth of papers and see how it does here. So I'm just going to paste this in, and then as I learned last time, I need to remove that and say notebook LM, and then put this in. So this time I'm asking it, what are the key findings from this context, and include inline citations. So one thing I will say, I do like the format that it's actually like giving me these answers in. It's very easy to read. I like that it's a nice structured approach to this. So let's see what they find. Primarily focused on development and evaluation of a chatbot designed to support. Okay, so this is not even remotely true of the entire collection. Okay, I think there might have been one article in there that focused on this, maybe 2 or 3 at most. So I'm a little concerned that it's hyper focusing in on that. Boy, I really just don't even want to read the rest of it, because this alone tells me that it's not going to be focused on everything. So, all right, how did it do in RAG? I'd say, I'd say I think it actually did pretty well on RAG. The question is, did it actually go through more than one paper? The answer to that is I don't know, because of the way that it positioned this. So I'm a little bit concerned about it. I will probably be doing, well, let me come back to if I'm going to do further benchmarking with this. Let's do one more question that we might use as an academic, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to summarize a paper, and I need to grab that paper and upload it. So give me just a second. I am dragging over this paper. I'm going to show you, while that uploads, I'm going to show you what paper we are actually diving into right now. So, oh, interesting. Okay. This isn't the paper I thought it was, but that's fine. So this is one of my older papers from like way back when I started as a professor, looking at the influence of pedagogical agents on learners' cognitive load. We tested a character versus no character condition and measured cognitive load, learning outcomes, training efficiency, and instructional efficiency. That was the other one I was looking for, instructional efficiency. So generally speaking, we found like no significant differences between anything, basically. So let's see if this is done. Okay, it is done. Let's ask our question. We're going to say, summarize this paper. I want to know what they did, what they found, the implications for theory, and the implications for practice. So let's see what it says based on that. Oh, you know what? Okay, I need to rerun this. I'm sorry. I forgot to change the context window length. So right now it's reading primarily probably off the first page, because the default context window in OLLAMA is only 2,000 tokens. So ignore that. I'm going to upload this again. Sorry. And I am going to copy paste in our prompt. And while that finishes uploading, I'm going to go down here and change our context window length. And I am going to change it to 16,000. I think that's more than enough. I don't think it's going to come even close to 16,000 tokens, but just in case, we'll run it that way. And let's see what it says. So it's going to take a little bit longer because of the context length increase. It's going to require a little bit more, but let's see what it says. For what we did, investigate the impact of a virtual character with learning activities. Okay, LASP does not stand for learning activity space. It stands for learner attenuated system paced. So that's wrong. They compared learning outcomes and cognitive load. Okay, this is correct. I don't know that I'd say we meticulously measured, considering that we did use self-report, and it was a one-item scale that's been used for a long time. I don't know if I'd call that meticulous, but maybe they're being optimistic. We did use these formulas, although I'm almost positive that I don't think that's the correct citation for instructional efficiency and training efficiency. I think I could be wrong. Maybe one of the two was used in that paper. I thought that they actually came from a little bit later paper, like a 1998 paper, or maybe it was a 2005 paper that talked about the difference between training efficiency and instructional efficiency. But unless you're in my field, you're not going to find that interesting. I just want to point out that I think this date and citation might be incorrect, but I'm not positive. I do know that that is where we got the original scale. So what we found, no significant difference, that's true. No impact on cognitive load, that's true. No difference in efficiency, I think that's true as well. Implications for theory, suggesting that pedagogical agents always increase cognitive load. This suggests that the mere presence doesn't automatically add to the cognitive burden. I actually think I want to look at this. I don't remember Persona 0 specifically. Yeah, see, so this is what I thought. Our results showed support for the Persona 0 effect because we did not have any significant influence on learning outcomes. Yeah, and that's the only time that's mentioned in the paper. So this is just false, where it says challenges the effect. We did not challenge the effect. We supported the effect. Highlights the importance of agent design. Yeah, that could be a takeaway. Implications for practice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said that. I say that in like every paper. Focus on agent features. Yeah, I probably said that too. Yeah, this doesn't tell us anything though because it hallucinated what LASP stood for in the beginning. So, all right. Let's take a debrief here. I mean, obviously, we didn't do very thorough testing, right? We only tested it on maybe like 6 or 7 questions. And I know that's not a lot. But to be honest, with so many large language models out there, I abandon models really fast. I don't know about you guys, but I test them with some quick testing. And if they're not good and not doing what I want, I just delete it and never think about it again. So how am I feeling about Gemma 3? Honestly, I am not impressed for my use case right now. I'm sure it is a wonderful model. And keep in mind, this is the 4 billion parameter. The others may perform differently. So my initial reactions, I like the way it displays data. I generally like the way it talks. And what I mean by that is like the way it phrases things. I don't like qualifiers though. Like, see how it says they meticulously measured? I don't think it was meticulous. When I think of meticulous, I think of like 14 different measures for the same thing, not a one item scale self-report of mental effort. So I'm not thrilled about that, but otherwise I really like the way it wrote it and the way it structured it. But how did it do? Well, with our facts, it was wrong. When I asked it the largest falcon, it should have said Deer Falcon. It said Golden Eagle and then tried to rationalize why a Golden Eagle was a falcon when it's not. So didn't love it for that. Our second question, we asked about social agency theory in the context of multimedia learning. It gave me something I never heard of before. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but it's certainly not in the context of multimedia learning through all of the multimedia learning that I've read. So not thrilled about that. When I asked it to reference my database, wasn't particularly impressed. And when I asked it here to summarize this paper, I don't feel like this should be hard, right? Like, I mean, I'm not crazy. At least I hope I'm not crazy. Okay, here's what we're gonna do, okay? I have an idea. I want to level the playing field. As you guys know, I am a huge fan of the Granite models, right? Like the Granite models for me have been awesome. So let's real quick just run, we're gonna upload that same paper. We're going to change our context length again to 16,000. And I just want to see what Granite comes up with because I got to think it's going to be more accurate than what we just saw from Gemma. So we're going to give this a second. Man, I was going into this video thinking I was going to be like so pumped about this model and like really excited. And I mean, it's got a lot of things going for it. It's multimodal. It has context length up to 128K. Like, it's just got so much potential. So I was hoping that when we make this video, I was going to be like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Look at how great it is. And instead, I don't want to say I'm disappointed, but I'm kind of feeling disappointed, guys. I'm thinking that this is one I'm not even going to bother benchmarking in my research assistant testing because it's not impressing me. But let's see what Granite comes up with here with this same paper. And okay, this is a brilliant example of why I like Granite compared to all these other models, okay? Because you guys hear me go on and on about how my LLM model, Dwayne, that I created is, which is based off Granite, is better, and he's just great, blah, blah, blah. He performs so well. He does. Look at this, okay? Like I mentioned before, we were okay, so this study by Schrader and Adesope 2014. This is wrong because this is a 2017 paper, but that's small potatoes to me. It got the actual learning environment right. Learner attenuated system-paced instruction. That's one of the things that made this unique. The aim was to explore on cognitive load, perceived mental effort. Yeah, see, this is a much more complete understanding of the paper right here, so that's great. Pre-service teachers randomly assigned. They experience learning materials, a control condition without an agent or with an agent. Perfect. Data collection pre and post test, measuring this. Yeah, see, I knew. Okay. Hopefully you guys are seeing the difference here, okay? All the things I point out that were wrong in the previous one are pretty much right in the Granite model. So that's great. So let's keep going. The agent was a virtual human who provided narration but did not interact. Yeah. Okay, that's great. What did we find? No significant differences. Supporting the persona zero effect. Perfect. Moving on. Although the group's mean score for self-reported, blah, blah, blah. No significant difference. Perfect. No significant difference. Perfect. No significant difference. Perfect. Implications for theory. Let's see. Does not intrinsically increase cognitive load. Contradicting previous research. Perfect. Okay? Like, Granite is just better. You know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. Admin panel. Settings, connections, manage, delete model. Bye-bye, Gemma 3. Not impressed. End of the video. Sorry, guys. All right. So I hope this has been informational for you. I'm really disappointed with how that model performed. If you like these types of benchmarks of learning what local models work well, please let me know in the comments, especially if you have any that you'd like to see me test. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for your time. Please like and subscribe to help support the channel. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. I will see you all in the next video.